Good morning, everyone. Thanks very much. I know you've had many presentations. You must be very tired, so we'll be very quick. Just want to talk a little bit about GDPR. To me, it's been amazing how many people are now experts, lawyers. Everyone keeps talking about GDPR, although, this is very new for everyone. We know that the 25th of May, it's just the beginning, right? So what I'm going to say, I'm just going to do a quick slide to introduce our company, tell you who we are and why you should work with us. And Julian, my friend, will do the real stuff about GDPR, right? I'm sorry for my French accent, because I'm French. But, the English lady, they said it's charming, so I love it. But you know what? I'm charming when I speak French, too. So now let's go for real stuff. So this is us. GDPR has been not even yet started. We've been doing privacy, certifications, safe harbor, child protection, HIPAA, for 20 years. So when you start talking to people about GDPR, please work with experienced people. So there are lots of companies that 1 or 2 years ago decided to be a GDPR expert, have software, but it takes experience. Our company has 20 years of experience. I'm not going to dwell on this, but you can see that slide, that's true. Then we are connected. We are one of the founding members of IPP. Hey, that's my friend Kostas. Hi, Kostas. So it's good to have friends everywhere. So IPP was founded, by us and some other members. We are an active members of IPP. We are a recognized leader in that area. And we have some nice customers, enterprise. Does that tell us we only work with enterprise customers such as IBM, Oracle, Merck, and so on? No. We have products, very nice solutions for SMBs. By the way, SMB is not just Cyprus. People sometimes tell me, oh, in Cyprus, we don't have big accounts, small companies. We have exactly the same in the UK, in Germany, in France, everywhere. And we have solutions for them because even if you're a small company, you have to be compliant. There is no escape. And we have solutions for everyone. And this is my friend Julian now taking over. Thank you.
Okay, everybody. I hope you can hear me okay. So just before I start, quick show of hands. Are you receiving privacy and consent notifications from various companies? Put your hand up if you are. Exactly. So we have GDPR really in action. Okay? And I think a lot of people are getting fed up with those notifications, but really, they're necessary. It's what it's all about. It's about helping us to take control of our data and the things that we sign up for or we don't. So what I really want to do is start off with acknowledging how important security is to GDPR. Because it's very much the case that we need a state of security as a prerequisite to compliance. Because without that, we have insecurity. And really, insecurity is going to lead to very much a high-profile attention from the authorities. And that's the last thing that we want. We see in the papers and on TV many data breaches recently, and the absolute sort of trouble that's caused to various companies. But it's not all about data breach. It's also how you look after data, how you might manage it. I mean, if we just take perhaps the Facebook example, that was simply a case of data being used by another company, Cambridge Analytica, to do analysis on that data. But apparently it would seem that it was done without consent. So as a consequence, problems have evolved. And what's the problem for Cambridge Analytica? They're not a company anymore. They're out of business. So as was mentioned earlier in one of the other presentations, it's not all about the fines. It's about actually reputation to business. It's about the fact that your business can go out of business in a very short space of time because you will be told by the data processing authorities to stop processing. And that can mean the end of a company. So there's a lot at stake, and that's why security is important. So these security principles, well, what are they? There's a number of them. I mean, my slide has got a lot of numbers at the bottom there, those GDPR security articles. 5, 24, so on and so on and so on, lots of them. And in fact, if you don't know, GDPR has actually got 99 different articles. And it has a lot more what they call recitals. But the point is, when we start digging into these articles, the ones on screen are very relevant to security. So Article 5, for example, is very much about defining what security kind of means within GDPR. So I'm just going to have a look at my notes here, but essentially it's all about that personal data shall be processed in a manner that ensures appropriate security of the personal data, including protection against unauthorized or unlawful processing and against accidental loss, destruction, or damage. But the key thing here is it says using appropriate technical or organizational measures. And that's very much what security is all about. So with those things in mind, let's just think about the fallout when we do have data breaches, the people that suffer. It's people like you and I. It's our data that is being managed by companies. So therefore, that's again why security is so important. As I said earlier, it's not just about the breaches. It's about how organizations use our data to transact business. So let me just touch on a few of those articles. So I want to point out Article 32. Okay? That's the one that really helps us define what those technical and organizational measures are. And that definition really comes from security. It's from years of security, providing the mechanisms, having those in place in companies that we can then look to with GDPR and say, yes, that defines what Article 32 means. I understand that, and I can work with that. If we take 33, 34, data breach notification, real short time frames, 72 hours on finding out about a data breach to notify authorities. Well, that's great, but how do you deal with that? You have a data breach. Are you prepared? Do you have things in place? Have you got a plan? Those are all sort of the operational side of it that need to be thought about and put in place. What about 24, 28, and 30? Those are really the obligations, okay? So that's on the controllers as businesses. Those are the people that are understanding the data, deciding what happens to it. And then, of course, those processors, people actioning the data, perhaps on behalf of organizations. But the key word here is demonstrate. You have to demonstrate compliance. And that's a theme that runs through GDPR. That's what regulators are going to say when they come to you and they say, demonstrate your compliance. What are you doing? How are you maintaining GDPR? Those are the things you need to think about. So the point is, how do we turn all that into actionable items? So with that, next slide. If I can find the slide change. There we go. Data Flow Manager, one of our products, deals with Article 30, very much around maintaining your data flows and processing records of inventory. It's collaborative, it's centralized. It will help you on that path to maintaining and understanding where your business lies and how you work with it as a business. Assessment Manager. Article 35 tells us that we must run what they call DPIAs, Data Protection Impact Assessments, should there be a need. In other words, that need is typically around, I've identified a high-risk process. I need to understand more about it, identify the gaps. Where may I have problems with these processes? How do I deal with it? Assessments help you do that. Assessment Manager is part of that process. It will help you identify and mitigate against risk. The other one I mentioned earlier was also consent. Consent is a big deal. It's all about now taking control of data and then saying, you know what, yes, I would like you to process my data. That's okay with me, or not. And the choice is coming back to us. It's much more now in our hands to have control. But again, consent, there's parts of this where, for example, the cookie consent, and we have a thing here called website monitoring. The point of that is, it's about identification of tracker mechanisms that are being fired or triggered on websites when people visit them. Again, from a security perspective, we need to understand those sort of things. Maybe some of those might be malicious. Maybe our customers are ending up with cookies that they shouldn't be, that we don't know about. Okay? So again, GDPR is very much about online behavioral activity, building profiles, understanding about what people are doing. That's the way the world has been up till now. GDPR is putting in place controls around that. Website monitoring is a means to start building up consent around cookie compliance. And building on cookie compliance, we have also a consent manager product. It's the thing that provides those pop-ups on screen where you can make your choices. But you can make those choices in the knowledge that the data that lies behind this is correct and accurate. that those choices around advertising, functional, required types of cookies are understood and that they're being honored when you make those choices. That's one of the solutions that we provide. So I mentioned breach earlier, so I'm just going to finish quickly one more slide. I just wanted to speak about TrustArc's new relationship with Radar. Radar are a company that provides basically breach management control and assessment. So as I said earlier, GDPR is very much about operationalizing the way that you manage your environments. And Radar can help you do that with their software and the relationship with TrustArc. Because it's all about planning in advance, being prepared. That's really what security is doing. That's very much what Radar is all about. If you have that breach, it's good to know that you've got mechanisms you know will work on the day when you need them. So I just thought I'd throw that out there. That's our new relationship with Radar. So everybody in the audience, with that, a thank you. And if you get a chance, I'd like you to come along to the, where are we here? Let me look at my notes. Come along to join us in the Tomasos room at 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock for a fuller in-depth view of the products and solutions. Thank you.